Wow. Where do we begin? Wow. Jeez, let's get it together right now. I literally thought about what I was going to wear today. And I went out and bought something that just didn't fit in the morning. It fit last night in the dressing room. But when I put it on this morning, I said I can't put this on in front of Iman.
Tell Iman why it didn't fit. Tell her what you had for dinner last night.
Why'd you do that? What are you talking about?
The 3 tacos.
I had 3 tacos last night, but they were vegan tacos. And the whole night I'm sitting there speaking about this beautiful entity of a person, you know, that has joined us this morning. I remember growing up as a kid in the 70s, and I remember seeing her picture, Grace magazine covers, and going, wow, who is this? Look how amazing this person looks, right? And then following her, I've never thought I would have an affinity for supermodels, but her story was so powerful that she was somebody that gained my interest. So I've learned that supermodels don't just model. You know, supermodels could also be activists. Supermodels could be pillars in the civil rights movement. Supermodels could fight for equality, which she did when it came to pay equality, for doing the same kind of work that other models were doing who were of other ethnicities.
Come on.
And so you start finding out all of these different layers. And then she went and married one of my favorite artists of all time, man. But I try.
Oh, wow.
I try.
I try. Or you try.
I'm trying.
I'm trying.
Please welcome Iman to the show, yo.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, this is Black Joy.
Yes.
That's what the whole... What we're doing is that, yes, we know the trial and tribulations of especially just Black beauty.
Yes, yes.
But let's concentrate on the joy and the
Yes.
celebration of them.
The Black joy. Wow. Well, when you were raised, where were you raised?
Somalia, East
Somalia.
Africa,
So you were raised in Somalia.
Yeah.
Was that the kind of messaging that was like when I was raised in East Oakland, California, with my mother, and in Oakland, the Black Panthers movement, the Civil Rights movement came through. So we were always messaged about Black joy, Black empowerment, because we were in the United States. You know what I mean? And you had to put that extra on it. What was it like for you in Somalia?
It was the same, actually, not necessarily in Somalia, but in my household.
Okay.
My father was a diplomat. And I was my father's daughter. I wanted to follow his footsteps, so I was majoring in political science before I became a model.
Come on.
But both my parents were activists and were part and parcel of getting Somalia's independence. They were that group. So when I was growing up at home, there were always activists and people going on their way to marches or coming back from marches. But we also were taught about everything about what's happening in the United States in terms of when it came to African Americans.
Were they okay with you as parents pursuing a modeling career?
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
Like with all of that.
That's what I want to know. Yeah.
No. To them it was 10 steps down. Because I was majoring in political science. I was going to be part and parcel of Somalia's government, So my whole life took a detour because we became refugees overnight. So we went and take refuge in Kenya, which was next door. We literally crossed the border by foot with only the clothes on our back, and we started all over again. So I stayed in Kenya, and my parents and my brothers and sisters went to Tanzania, which is a neighboring country. Because I was able to go to University of Nairobi. But there were a lot of non-government organizations that really took care of me, because as a 16-year-old young girl, anything could have happened to me as a refugee. And so they really protected me and made sure that I was in a safe place, and they took me from one place to the other,
Camps or homes, when you say they took you from one place to the other?
Yeah, for me, it was not camp. My brothers and sisters was. I stayed in Kenya, and then I just, they took me to homes.
Yeah. Wow, shit. This was before she came to the States to start blowing up. Wow, Iman is here. This is Heather B.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you? So happy that you're here today. Thank you for just gracing us.
Thank you.
With your presence. So then, everything that you shared with us, and I know I don't want to jump or miss anything, but just in particular, how did your modeling career then take off? Like, because I didn't know, when I hear your name, when I see your name, I think about my mom's dresser being covered in your products.
Yes.
I think about the magazine covers that Sway mentioned. I didn't even know what you just shared. So thank you. So how did you make it so big here?
So what happened was that I was doing two jobs, although I was attending university.
Okay.
I was doing a job as a waitress in one of the best restaurants. Somebody got me the job. And also, I speak 5 languages, and one of them is Italian.
Oh, wow.
So, so they found
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
And so they found a job for me to translate the brochures from the Ministry of Tourism in Kenya, for safaris. They had it only in English, and they needed a translator to translate it to Italian. So that was my second job. And then one day, from one job to the other, I was walking down the street, and a photographer by the name Peter Beard, who's a white photographer. But in the meantime, I've never seen fashion magazines wore heels or makeup in my life before. So he stopped me in the street and started talking to me. Have you ever been photographed? And I thought, here we go, white people thinking Africans. We've never seen a camera before. and I said, yeah. And he said, who? And I said, my parents. and he said, no, professionally. And all I could think of was my brother's Playboys. And I said, I'm not that kind of girl.
Damn, I'm joking.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he probably thought, damn. But so then he said the magic word. He said, if you pose for me, I'll pay you.
That was the magic.
Wow.
Yes, because I didn't have, I had 1 year university scholarship, and I had to come up with the money the second year. So I asked him, he said, well, how much do you want? And the tuition for the year was $8,000. And I asked for $8,000. And he said, you got it.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Wow.
You asked for 8,000?
8,000.
No hesitation.
No hesitation. That's how I was brought. Know your worth.
Yes.
If it doesn't serve you, walk away from it. Right? So I thought he wants my pictures.
Right.
Yeah.
I want that 8K.
Otherwise, I'll do the other side jobs.
Right.
Right? So, no, he took the pictures, paid my tuition, came to New York. He had it on an invitation for his photo gallery, and an agency saw it, and they called
And the rest, what agency was it?
Wilhelmina Agency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wilhelmina,
biggest.
the big ones.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I read a story about you taking your first job, and then when you start doing jobs for like companies and advertisers, you realize that black women weren't being paid the same as other models.
Yeah.
And then you told your agent, we got to fight for this. What became of that?
Yeah, no, I simply said to her was that when I found that the discrepancy in pay, I said to her, so first of all, that's a racist act. You know that.
Yeah.
And she said, yes. And then I said, so let me put it to you in a different way. Now, mind you, I'm barely 19 now. And I said, let me put it to you in a different way. What I want to be paid is for services rendered. Meaning the same job, the same pay. So I'm not even going to say, if, I'm going to fight for black or whatever. But that you understand, right? It's the same job. So that's how I put it. And they said, well, we'll talk to the clients. And for 3 months, nobody came forward to do that. And I sat it out. And then the first client came in to pay the same amount. And then it changed.
Who was that client? Do you recall?
Yes, Anne Klein.
Anne Klein. Salute to Anne Klein.
Yes.
Salute to Anne Klein.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
Iman, I'm now wondering, there's been so many conversations throughout the years when it comes to fashion magazine covers about cultural appropriation.
Yes.
I remember sometimes seeing photo shoots where it'd be one of the Jenners.
Yes.
Kendall Jenner having an afro, you know what I mean? Or Kim Kardashian. And then you'll have some folks, maybe Vogue will be like, a trend of braids is coming in, but it'll be Kim as the face of it.
Yep.
And obviously you have a lot of people that are upset because why is my culture being used as a costume?
Yes.
Did you ever end up having conversations around cultural appropriation?
It was all the time.
Yeah.
But when, for example, in 1976, when I started working, the first thing, beside the discrepancy in pay, was that they always pushed tokenism.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
there was one black model at a time. So they made you feel that you have to dethrone that system for you to get space, right? And so I come from a different mentality. Being from politics and majoring in political science, everything I did it through that filter, the politics of beauty, the politics of race and beauty, right? But at the same time, I came from a place that I was never treated like how they treated Black African-American models. And I came from a place also that I have never, ever described myself before I came to the United States as a Black person. I come from a Black country.
Hello.
So there was no reason for us to call ourselves Black. You know, we were like Somalis, and we are fierce people.
Yes.
This is the only Black African country that has one language and one religion. We made sure of that we had that unity. So I come from that kind of a place. So when I came here, what I did, the first thing when I heard about the tokenism and how they were pitching me against Beverly Johnson, who was the top model at that time.
Yes, we've had her on our
Speak
show.
on it. Speak on it.
Yeah, I became friends with her.
Yes. Yes.
And so they will go together to jobs, right? If she couldn't do a job, she'll say, what about Iman? Or I couldn't do it. So all of a sudden, that door opened that there will be more Black models can be used at the same time.
Yes.
Right? Because, we're not a cookie cutter. We don't all look alike. We're not only one. But also what they did with me is that they would say to me in a whole white room, they will say to me, but you're more beautiful than them. Who's them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they try to instill that in you, that you are better, because they need to have one person, right? So, and I always took that to an offense. And I've always said to them, and they would say, they've said like, the Black community will say, she looks like a white woman dipped in chocolate. I took an offense to that because I am a Somali. I have not a drop of blood of white in me.
Not one drop.
Not a drop. I'm pure Somali.
There you go.
Yeah,
Come
so
on.
I didn't want anybody to actually put me into that language, or any white person to take any credit of how I look, because I have white in me. I don't have any white in me.
You better talk your shit. You better talk your shit, Iman.
Wow.
Let's be clear.
Yeah, let's be very clear.
All right, Mike.
Don't take credit for that.
Iman, it's such a pleasure to hear your thought process and how you think. I would be remiss if I didn't say that. I've been in rooms with supermodels, and your beauty is stunning. I've never seen a beauty like yours. When you walked in the door, it was so effortless.
Yeah.
And I think that stems from the inside of you, hearing your story now.
Thank you.
The question that I have, though, is just hearing it. You are not only fighting for Black Americans, but you're also, too, fighting for the representation of individuals from the continent of Africa. How did you maintain your peace and your constitution to fight for both, although you're being ridiculed from multiple sides?
Yes.
How did you maintain that calm and still look at the bigger picture that this benefits all of us, even if you don't see it?
Grace under pressure. And I have to say, one of my first and is still my dearest and closest friend is Beth Ann Hardison.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Round of
Yeah.
applause for her.
Yeah.
Shout out to Miss Beth Ann Hardison.
Beth
Kadine's
Ann,
mom.
yeah, I walked into Stephen Burrows' showroom, and I was shaking like a leaf. It was like maybe a week I was in the United States, and everybody thought that I didn't speak a word of English. So, and I pretended that I didn't, so I can hear what people would say around me. So they gave me a dress. I put the dress on. They gave me some heels. I put one shoe on, and for the life of me, I couldn't put the other shoe on. And Beth Ann, who was the assistant of Stephen Burrows at that time, got on her knees to help me.
To help.
And the whole room was like, don't do that. She'll think she's above us or whatever. She didn't pay them any attention, but she looked up at me and she said, you speak English, don't you? And I said yes. And to me, that was the most welcoming face I saw, and I held to her for dear life since then.
Amen.
And she's the one who actually who's been the activist. If I have to say, if there is anyone in our group that it is the leader of it is Beth Ann Hardison. And I don't want anybody ever to forget her name.
There you go.
You know?
We even say it in the hip hop community. A lot of us know her. Yeah, God bless.
Met her
Miss
plenty
Beth
of
Ann.
times.
Amen.
Beautiful.
All right, Sway.
I know you only have a few moments, but we're here to talk about you being an executive producer in this upcoming first ever documentary series called Supreme Models. Supreme Models is a 6-part docu-series that's available on YouTube right now. And in it, you wanted to talk about the evolution of top black models and the effect that the industry has had on them.
So it all came about that YouTube and the directors have called me during COVID and said that they would like me to be part of this docu-series that was based on a book by Marcellas that's called Supreme Models. And I said, well, what are you guys bringing to the table that has not been said about black beauty and black models? And they said, well, you're aware that there have never been a documentary about black models or black beauty, which I was not aware of.
I was not aware of that.
Right.
Right.
So then I said, well, then count me in. And so, what I wanted to do is that I wanted to make sure that all those others that came before us, not the ones who are now here, but the Naomi Sims, Daniela Lunas, all those girls, the girls who did all the fashion fair shows,
Yes.
everybody has to be highlighted and tell the story and also tell it through a culture, because black is beautiful. That slogan has been around since the 60s, so this is a cry that have been going on for so many years, and it's part and parcel of the culture. So I wanted to make sure that it was done historically, but it's also done in their own voices, not somebody speaking for a model. Not somebody saying, oh, Iman, I'd rather me speak for myself, and maybe the other models speak for me, rather than a third
Other
party.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how this all came about. But one of the things that, again, talking about Beth Ann Hardison, is 2013, because I was very surprised. She contacted me, and she said, I'm going to send you an email. I want you to look at it. And I opened it, and it was a New York Times article. This is 2013. And the article title was The Blonde Leading the Blonde. The blackout of the runways across Europe and America, meaning there was not a single black model being used for the past 4 years.
Wow.
And I was shocked. I was out of the industry. I retired from modeling. I was doing Iman Cosmetics, and so I was not aware of what was going on. So Beth Ann was the one who put together me and Naomi Campbell to join her, so that we could do this change. And what was happening was that Beth Ann will take me to the side and say, please don't say boycott. Because she knows my first phrase out of my mouth will say, boycott.
Enough of this shit.
Yeah, enough of this.
Yeah.
Right. So, we were collectively, the three of us went through all the press and wrote to CFDA, which is the Council of Fashion Designers, made sure that they understood it. The designers started complaining and started to understand that there were casting agents that they have hired, that they will say, okay, find us, this is what the collection is about, cast the models. And these casting agents will call the agencies and will say, we're not seeing black models this season, as if we were a trend to be disposed of, right? Wow. And so that's what was happening. And we took it upon us, the three of us, to actually highlight it and bring it. And it was not about calling them out or canceling them out. It was actually calling them in and making them understand first. I'm giving you the opportunity to know what casting agents are saying on your behalf. Now, if you're okay with that, then I'm going to call you words. But I just want you to know that first. So one of the designers was a woman called Philo, who did Celine. Every woman, black, white, every age that I know of, coveted Celine bags. It was always, waitlist.
Those bags.
And so Philo said, am I going to be forced to use black? She's never used black models. So she said, am I going to be forced to use black models? I said, no. I mean, there's got to be the right black model for you. There can't be no black model that's not right for you. And but just by she saying that, I said, and I did this because I've done it, but I never said it, publicly. I said, for the action of she saying that she has to have the choice not to use black models, That's why I have never bought a Celine bag.
Ooh.
Wow.
She has the right to her runway, and I have a right to my pocketbook.
Absolutely.
So you are, and so I never owned a Celine bag for that. That's what I mean by boycott. It's like there's lots of bags that I can own. I don't need a Celine bag,
Yeah.
especially if she feels nothing for me.
Yes. Yep.
So that's so
Yep.
the show is about, but again, more than anything, is about the celebration and highlighting these girls.
Can she call here once a month?
Yo,
What you doing? Could you just
Iman,
call and
see,
talk to
y'all,
us once
y'all
a
two are
month?
like low roll queens right here. They're the low roll queens right here. The supermodels, excuse me, I keep saying supermodel. Supreme models.
Supreme, yeah.
It's available on YouTube.
YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh.
Yes.
I'll be remiss. I know you have to go. I'm a big David Bowie fan.
Oh, thank you.
I want to hug you.
You will.
Thank you. I'm just curious. What can you share? What do I want? What did he say to you to convince you, or not convince you,
Yeah.
to make you, allure you to dating him initially?
First of all, it was we were set up as a blind date.
Okay.
So I did not know he was going to be there.
Okay.
Wow.
And it was supposed to be a dinner party, a birthday dinner party. But it was actually 4 people. It was me and him. It was a setup.
Okay.
We had a lot in common, but I was a huge fan of his
Yes.
music. My first concert of his was 1976, Station to Station, here in New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, no, he properly wooed me,
Yes.
right?
Romantic guy.
Romantic guy. No, to the point that I went to Paris, came back, and he said, "I'll pick you up from the airport." So I thought, like he'll be in the car and send his security guy.
Yeah.
No, he was standing in. I came out of the plane. He was standing there. People were taking pictures of him.
Really?
Yeah. No, he properly wooed me. We went to. He wanted to hear some new act, so I went with him. And literally, I was going to the ladies' room. He had his security guy with him. No, he took me to the back, waited outside the bathroom until I, brought me out and back. No, he properly wooed me.
He did his
He
thing.
properly wooed me. And the best thing was that we were walking down the street, and my shoelaces came undone, and he got on his knees
Damn.
to tie. Damn is right.
Sway, learn from all of this. Get some tips.
Oh, hold on, man. He's wearing different kind of shoes. So no laces.
Exactly.
No laces.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and he's love of my life, and
Absolutely.
he was. I hope I was his. Yes.
I'm sure you were.
Yeah.
Did you go in the studio at all with him?
Yes.
What
Yes.
songs would I know that you saw him record?
Okay, the whole the last album, of course.
Okay.
Black Star.
Uh-huh.
The next day.
Okay.
The whole next day.
You was there?
I
Were you
was there.
inspired? Was he inspired by you with this song?
I mean, listen. I don't think he was not that kind of an artist.
Yeah.
But he was very aware of the world. I'm sure you all saw him talking about with
MTV,
MTV.
yeah.
And people have asked me. They said, "Have you inspired him?" I said, "Listen, first I didn't know him then, but he
Yeah.
was an enlightened man, so he was very aware of what was going in the world. So I have to tell you, he knew that I was a huge fan of Naomi Sims.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how he did it, but he managed to get the first copy, number 1, of Naomi Sims on the cover of Time magazine.
Wow.
And he's one of my prized possessions.
Oh my
Wow. Yeah,
Sway, you got a lot
I
of work.
got a lot of work to do. I'm not on David,
Right?
I'm not on David Bowie's level. I'm definitely not that. But I ended up working for MTV for 21 years.
Yes.
I wasn't a fan initially,
Yeah.
but I did see what he spoke up to one of those correspondents and said, "Why don't you play black music?
Yes.
It makes no sense."
Yeah.
And then Michael Jackson became the first
Yeah.
black artist that they play. A lot of that had to do with David Bowie because he was so powerful and he leveraged that power,
Yeah.
his popularity, his success
Yeah.
to do something good,
Wow.
to do something that should have been done.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I always commended him for that, and I commend you.
And
Yeah.
that's what really we want in our business,
Yeah.
in our industries, is that allyship. Don't give me the word you like what I do and don't stand with me.
Hello.
Yeah.
Is the allyship.
Yeah.
You have to have an ally. Say it. If you believe it, say it. If you think that we're being treated wrong, say it.
Yes.
If you have the power, say it.
Supreme Models on YouTube, man. Yeah. Iman, big round of applause. Big round of
Wow.
Thank you. We're going to the show on that note. All right?
Thank you.
And on that note, we have nothing left to say.